The Around the NFL podcast is still beefing with the Move the Sticks podcast.
Welcome back to another edition of the Around the NFL podcast. My name is Dan Hanzus, and I am joined by a room filled with heroes, Marc Sessler, Chris Wesseling, and Gregg Rosenthal. What's up, boys?
Hey, Dan.
I am excited. This is one of those shows where Sessler got no sleep last night.
Yeah, it's-
Live wire Sessler.
Wild-eyed Sessler.
Went to bed at 10:30, woke up at around 10:50, never went back to sleep. Not sure why.
So anything's possible with Marc. I almost wish we had the fantasy outsider on today, because on the street corner, it would have been especially demented, I feel like.
Listen, I'm not feeling it. We'll just have to see what happens.
All right, good.
Complete wild card.
Before the show, Marc made a comment what was something along the lines, would this be a good show for me to be completely checked out? Is that...
Can we work on that?
We can arrange it.
It's not that different than a normal show.
Well, already too many speaking parts up
So,
to now.
by the way, I was off yesterday, and
Gallivanting around the West Coast.
that's one way to put it. But when you're a married 35-year-old with a 1-year-old son, there's no more gallivanting. It's over. I was doing errands, running them around the city, and then relieving my babysitter. That's a lot of fun, rock and roll lifestyle. But I'm not completely, unplugged from what's going on. I checked Twitter, got a tweet, couple tweets actually, about our friend or Daniel Jeremiah. I'm not sure how you pronounce it.
Former D3 quarterback, right?
He did. He played above high school level for a few years, and apparently they gave him a podcast, which is cute. He talked about us. So TD, do we have that? We might as well address it, lest people think we're running.
We've got the Around the NFL guys that are going to try and talk about toasters. So if you're into kitchen appliances, Around the NFL is your show.
Bucky really liked that joke.
Yeah.
Bucky, I hope Bucky enjoyed his time on the podcast because it's over.
When you haven't done a show in 3.5 months, you probably have a lot of pent-up frustration with many coworkers, so I understand where DJ is coming from.
And let's be honest, we get it. You always you're hitting up at the number one. Come at us, with a number one game in the land here. So if you want to come at it, come at it. I would do the same thing. That's how you get publicity. You come at the number one. I'm putting on full Mike Francesa here. Come at the number one, come at the number one. I'm not going to worry about it. Well, I don't got nothing to say about him.
Is Jeremiah the podcast world's Antrell Roll at this point?
Wow. Strong. Very strong.
Yeah, well, that's a good connection there. Yes, I'm going to say he is, Marc.
Plus the toaster, which we're doing today. One of the most popular segments on the show.
Finally, Gregg acknowledges it.
Gregg, listen,
Hey,
nothing like a
if
little...
he's coming at me,
Yeah.
I listened to this at 11:15 at night. I was grocery shopping for some reason at 11:15. And by the way, this is the only reason I would listen to the Move the Sticks podcast at this point. I heard there was some beef to hear what happens. Got me all fired up. It made me defensive of the toaster.
Grocery shopping at 11:15 p.m.
I don't know why,
I want to party with you, Cowboy.
I was wide awake. I figured I might as well be productive.
I like it. I mean, yeah, DJ, former quarterback at the college level. He's a competitive guy by nature.
Sure.
He wants to come at the number one. Well, come at the number one. We're here. We're not going anywhere.
He just did.
Well, keep coming.
Oh, okay.
We're not afraid. It's scared. All right, coming up on the show. There you go, DJ. A little shot right back at you, buddy.
Yeah,
Coming up on
we
today's
spent
show.
like a minute and a half taking shots at him while he had like 1 second.
Coming up on today's show, we got a lot to get to. We're going to do a little bit of new... Excuse me.
You all right?
Sorry,
Okay.
gentlemen.
Listen, we're human beings. These things happen.
Fallible. We do a little news, of course.
Authentic. That's what the NFL Network is looking for, I've heard.
I will demand TD scrubs that from the from the audio and video. Which, by the way, you can watch us on YouTube now. If it's easier for you to access us on YouTube, we're there. You could also watch us on the NFL.com website somewhere.
NFL Now.
NFL Now. You could find it there maybe. But you could definitely find us at YouTube. And maybe we can get a YouTube channel at some point, TD, to give people a link that has everything.
Well, we're on the NFL channel.
Is there like sub-channels for YouTube?
Well, we have the NFL channel.
Yes.
Don't try to take over the board just yet, Dan. And then on that, we have the Around the NFL playlist. And by the way, the fun fact about the YouTube clips is that you can skip the segments as you please if you check the show
I
notes.
saw that. It looks very good. And everybody's doing a very nice job behind the glass and behind the scenes getting us on the video side of things. But anyways, for today's show, we're going to do some news. We're going to talk about teams that we feel are destined to fall short of expectations. Subtitle, I'm not mad, Todd. I'm just disappointed. And then
You're the
finally,
master of the titles.
he's Todd. And then finally, yes, as hinted by DJ and Greg, we will bring back the game of skill and valor, known as Win Wess's Toaster. Get excited, everybody.
Oh,
Well,
nice.
We asked Wes when he came in today, are you ready for this? Are you prepared? And he didn't even know it was happening today. And which
I forgot it was happening.
He's in his zone. He doesn't even care. He's just going to mow him down.
Very Tyson in
Tokyo.
Japan. That's what happened.
That's a Tyson Tokyo moment.
That's when I took you out with the uppercut.
I don't remember being unconcerned when you took me out.
Well, you should have still studied a little harder.
All right, let's go behind the glass and check in with TD. How you doing, buddy?
What is going on, guys? Glad to be here. Friday, good show though. We had, this is on YouTube, like we said. So is Move the Six. So is DDFP. So check it all out, guys.
I want to start getting. I know you don't have any loyalties to our show, really, but I would like to hear maybe
to the
from
game,
you.
baby. Loyal to the game.
If I can get a text from you when DJ's taking shots, so I don't have to hear it from
Sure, that would be,
Twitterverse.
that
Well,
would be
TD
good
probably
for
didn't
this
want
one.
us listening to that episode because DJ also was taking shots and not so subtly getting annoyed by TD jumping into the show too much. So at least it's not. It was funny to hear that on another show.
Now you're just making stuff up.
No, I'm not.
I would say this, Dan. Again,
It's getting weird.
if you come at the king, you best not miss. Words of Omar.
Yes, very good. The Wire. All right, let's do some news. I agree. It's a good point. All right, let's get right into it. We'll start with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Bad news for one of our Making the Leap candidates, wide receiver Martavis Bryant, who is facing a 4-game suspension for violating the NFL's policy on substances of abuse. According to Rap Sheet, this is tied back to multiple marijuana tests that have been failed. So Martavis Bryant, smoking that sticky icky. And it's cost them the beginning of the season, potentially.
Well, I think Mike Tomlin came out in March and said this could be the best offense in the NFL because when Martavis Bryant hit the starting lineup after the Week 7 bye, they averaged 31 points a game. They were arguably the most explosive offense in the NFL. Ben Roethlisberger's passer rating was 15 points higher with Martavis Bryant in the lineup. He averaged 70 more passing yards per game with Bryant in the lineup. Those are amazing numbers. This team was 3-3 in Week 7. And they went 8-2 the rest of the way with Martavis Bryant. They were a completely different offense. And you've got Le'Veon Bell, Martavis Bryant, and Marcus Pouncey won't be there early in the season. This is a team the last 2 years has been slow out of the gates. 2013, it kept them out of the playoffs. Last year, it hurt them a little bit too. They had to play catch-up all year.
This kickoff game between the Steelers and Patriots is feeling like a Week 2 preseason tilt.
Let's just swap it out with something at this point.
Please.
Oh, give me a break. It's a lot of fun. Jimmy Garoppolo, Dion Lewis.
not
You
what
got Darius Hayward-Bay running routes for the Steelers.
It's not what we're tuning in kickoff week for.
Whatever. It'll be exciting. But you're right. All the optimism about the Steelers offense. I mean, Pouncey's the biggest problem. They can replace Bryant for 4 weeks, but it is amazing when Roethlisberger threw those.
Can they?
I think they can survive as an offense. Le'Veon Bell will be back.
But you're
in the
going to be
middle of
averaging
that.
20 points a game instead of 33 or whatever. I mean, it's a different way to win a game, and you've already got questions on defense where you've got all these young players you have to work in early. This is a flawed team in September.
I think they're a team that's going to have to score that many points because of the defense. I mean, we've seen nothing from the defense so far.
Well, I think that you raise a good point. Their chances to be a Super Bowl winner this year or contender is the defense improving dramatically, which I think it has a chance to do. I don't really care about what I've seen in the preseason. They have a pretty young roster. They have young pass rushers. They have a completely rebuilt secondary. They were terrible last year. I think just the change is a good thing. And you're right, the defense is going to have to be a lot better in September than they were a year ago.
Martavis Bryant played just 306 regular season snaps, 26 catches, 549 yards, 8 touchdowns, and a league-leading 21.1 yards per catch average. So this is a substantial loss, and the reason he was on our Making the Leap list, because we thought this guy could enter stud territory, and
You
now
don't
he's
want
not
to be on
there.
that list. I mean, everyone
Wait, I
on
don't
that
wanna hear
list,
anymore.
one by one,
ahead,
everyone on
Mark.
that list is fading from society.
I don't want to hear any more criticism of
like
making
10
the
little
league
Indians.
curse. Odell Beckham played 11 games last year. Brian can come back, play 12, have a great season. You know who was on the making the leap list 2 years ago? Marcus Wheaton. We were just a year too
How did
early.
he do last year?
Not great, but he's going to have a great season this year because Brian's out of the mix.
Wait, Big Ben hyped him in early August, like just blowing smoke. Do you think that was because he knew Martavis Bryant was going to be
That
suspended?
is fair. We were wondering that yesterday.
Blowing
These
smoke.
teams-
Yes.
Well, these teams know about these suspensions many times well before they're announced.
Well, I think, if nothing else, the team knew about it, and that's why Wheaton has been the starter and getting the starter snaps. That kind of explains why Wheaton has stayed ahead of Bryant this
Conspiracy
whole
theory.
time.
The loser here is all these fantasy heads that wrote roughly 700 or 800 articles about the Wheaton versus Bryant controversy in Pittsburgh.
Is that an
I mean,
accurate figure? 700 or 800
The fantasy
articles?
outsider's back.
Had this happened a month ago, you save a lot of people a lot of typing.
And Greg's right, by the way. There is no making the leap curse. It's not like Geno Smith was on the list.
10 little Indians.
Don't
They all
wanna be
go
on that
down.
list.
All right, moving on. Horrible news for the Washington Redskins. They signed Junior Galette to a one-year deal last month. Think they could get a little sneaky steal and a real pass rusher in their defense if he would be able to keep his nose clean and not be a monster like he was in New Orleans. Well, that's not going to happen. Tore his Achilles in practice on Wednesday, and he's out for the year. Will undergo surgery on Friday. Wes, this is an injury that really kills a defense that needed Galette to have an impact for them to really probably have any chance to be competitive, right?
They've got a couple of second-round picks, Trent Murphy and Preston Smith. They've drafted the past 2 years. But if they like those guys enough to start them, why did they sign Junior Galette in the first place? It tells you that those guys weren't ready to make a difference. To me, a little preview here. We've got to do our power rankings, 1 to 32 for all the NFL teams. The Redskins will not be in the top 31 on my list.
Not gonna make the cut. Yeah, people forget it's a terrible roster. Scott McLuhan shows up. People, okay, they're on the right track. He's gonna do the right thing. It's gonna take a while for him to get his players in. He didn't have a dramatic offseason. This is essentially the same team that has won 7 games the last 2 years combined, I believe. I mean, so they are right there with the very worst rosters in the league, and there's not any reason to think, based off the last month, unless you believe that Jay Gruden getting mad about people calling him fat is going to motivate everyone, that they're going to get better.
It's hard, to think of north of Joe Philbin, a coach that's in a worse situation than Jay Gruden right now, because
I think he's much worse than Joe Philbin.
you got a bottom 3 roster, and I'm with you. I mean, it's hard to figure out what team do you put lower than the Redskins in your power poll based on just the lack of hope. What position, what player do you point to and say, this guy's going to get him out of
Does the locker room even like and respect Jay Gruden?
Well, we don't.
Does the owner like and respect
Well, I
Jay
think
Gruden?
we know
I
the
think these
latter.
are questions. This is an awful situation to go into a year when you just lost one of your top pass rushers. Nobody knows if your quarterback can play quarterback anymore, and you might be forced to play him because the direction of upstairs is telling you to do that. It's no way to go into a season.
TD, by the way, we saw your little graphic flub there. Not a torn ACL, torn Achilles.
Fixed it though. See, we're an interactive,
That was quick.
responsive group here behind the glass.
Okay, Achilles should have an apostrophe at the end, by the way. Just throwing that at you.
No, actually, it doesn't.
Not only if you use heel.
Untrue.
Yes.
It's weird.
Tendon no, heel yes.
Well,
Everyone always talks about what a tragedy it is when injuries happen in the preseason. I don't hear anyone saying that for Junior Galette.
Oh.
No one is like, couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
Who Dat Nation is totally cool with this. Let's just be real about it. Just really one of the worst teammates ever. We're hearing. Sometimes bad things happen.
from that angle, maybe a positive for the Redskins. You get rid of a locker room cancer.
You say that as a joke, by the way, but it could possibly be the best thing that happens to this team. Yes, there's not a lot of hope in Washington, but this guy could have potentially been a total nightmare. They were rolling the dice. I felt it was a desperate move at the time. Now he's out of the picture. You lose your best pass rusher, but at least you lose like a hardcore cancer.
Yeah, everything's great.
You're just trying to spin positive a little bit. All right, moving on. So that's what's happening in the news. Not a lot cooking on the news end ahead of the third week of the preseason, but there is a lot to talk about. And what we're going to talk about next, as we talked about earlier, this is hope season, unless you're in the Washington, D.C. region. And a lot of teams are excited that they feel like they have a chance to play in, where is it, Santa Clara, California. Santa Clara,
Little
California. I explained.
Clara.
Any female name beginning with C.
They have been playing football there for over a year now. The 49ers.
That's true. So Santa Clara, California, where is the site of. I don't know for some reason it came into my head when I told you about an old friend of mine from my past, a girl named Kara.
Kara got married.
And I explained that Kara got married. The New York voice came out. I don't know where that came from.
This
anyway,
episode is completely off the rails.
This segment is called Teams That Are Destined to Fall Short of Expectations. Or,
How about teams that will disappoint?
no, or
Short.
I'm not mad, Todd. I'm just disappointed.
I like that.
All right, so let's start. We're going to go one by one. Even though all these teams have hope, there's a reason to really expect things to go down the drain in a big way, and we're going to start with the quiet storm.
I mean, let's go to Buffalo. Because here's the thing with the Bills. It's whole Rex Ryan. You're going to sell a bunch of tickets because Rex Ryan comes in. He's jumping out of airplanes. He's telling everyone who will listen that they're going to make the playoffs. And that's fine, except I can't find many teams with a shaky quarterback situation that ever make the postseason. I think Rex Ryan is one of the best defensive coaches of our time. But at the same point, this guy refuses to learn anything about managing his quarterbacks. I think going into the third preseason week with E.J. Manuel as your starter because you're overly loyal to this concept that everyone must have a starting chance in the preseason is a disaster in the making. Rex Ryan has learned nothing about managing the most important position in sports.
I agree with that. I agree that he's playing this poorly. We've been saying it for like 2 weeks now, that Rex always gets things wrong no matter what with this. But he could have played it perfectly. I still think this would have been a major issue on this team quarterback play. So I agree with you. I just kind of have a little bit different angle. But yeah, how are they going to expect to get a good quarterback play this season?
I think he just
how can you think it's a 10-win team?
Sure, he adds too much complexity to an already muddled situation. You completely botched what should be the showcase game for, I think, Tyrod Taylor.
He's making Lovie Smith look like Mark Trestman when it comes to quarterback. I mean, this guy is ham-fisted. I've never seen a situation where a beat writer, Vic Carucci of the Buffalo News, after Rex announces that E.J. Manuel will start the most important preseason game of the year, Vic Carucci comes out and says, I can tell you from watching practice that E.J. Manuel has never been in this quarterback competition.
Well, that's what's so strange about it. And if I had to guess, I would guess Manuel's going to play like 2 series, and then Castle or Taylor will come in. None of that makes any sense. But I still don't agree with Mark at all, because it's not about the quarterback position. It's about taking what was the most talented or one of the most talented defense in the league, already one of the best defense in the league, and for that first year of the Rex excitement, taking it to a whole nother level. And as much as all the off-field stuff and the quarterback stuff is annoying, the offensive line is bad, that's all great. That's all similar to what the Jets were like. And this defense is more talented than any of those Jets defenses ever were, and I think they could be special. And I think that defensive line is one of the best we've seen in a long time. And I think they're going to be so good that they will be a little better than last year, and they'll live up to expectations.
You're aware the most important position on the field is the quarterback.
They won 9 games with Kyle Lowry last year.
Who made that defense special?
Now they have a worse
Mike
quarterback
Pettin.
than Kyle Lowry.
Mike Pettin 2 years ago got them a sack record for the franchise.
So
last year, Jim Schwartz did a great job with that defense. It's not like you're going to suddenly make it that much better.
I do think
point.
Great defense.
It's a good point. They were already a swarming defense.
But you get the second year of Sammy Watkins, you get LaShawn McCoy.
Who's going to get the ball to Sammy Watkins? E.J. Manuel?
You throw it to him right near the line of scrimmage and let him run.
I'm with Mark.
This is also, all of us have been saying, or at least you guys, LaShawn McCoy's not going to be as good anymore.
I still think it's an upgrade at running back. I mean, you're talking about short of expectations. This isn't a team people are thinking are going to go to the Super Bowl.
Well, except
Rex Ryan is.
Rex Ryan is the
Wow,
one selling this same. He did the same thing with the Jets. It's the same.
He's
bluster.
a carnival barker.
Exactly. It's tedious.
Third week of preseason, Rex with quarterbacks is great because this time he's starting E.J. Manuel, who's going to be out of the league next year. His second to last year with the Jets, he put Mark Sanchez between a 4th-string offensive line and blew out Sanchez's shoulder in the 4th quarter of a game, prompting one of the great press conference meltdowns ever. Remember what he was like? He was like, "I'll say it this way. I'll see it this way." Yeah. And I was like, everybody was like, "What is happening?"
He started walking backwards. It was very strange.
Anyway, so Rex, we all love Rex, but be careful. Wes, you're up next. Tell us about the team that's destined to fall short.
Well, the team that's destined to go 7-9 or 6-10 every single year of their existence, the St. Louis Rams. They have the ultimate 7
Can
and
we
9.
pick some better teams for this segment? We were picking teams that are losing teams. Oh, they're gonna disappoint.
Wait, you've got them in the playoffs.
But I'm the only one. No,
You've
no
got
one
them
has
in the playoffs. You've got them with the most exciting backfield
Everyone
in the
thinks
NFL.
they're a 7 and 9 team.
Everyone thinks they have like a top 3 defense. They go 7 and 9 every year. Their quarterback, I could not be more disappointed in their quarterback.
I'm
He's
just
played
saying, we had 12 teams in the playoffs last year. Why don't we pick one of those teams as one of the teams that'll disappoint?
Wes, Greg setting
Wait,
himself
we've
up
got
to be
this
the
kind
hero.
of reaction out of you.
Well, I was annoyed yesterday when I saw the responses. I was like, have some balls here.
Oh, God.
Wait, I'm taking my boss on. These are my balls. Laying them out there
Take him
for you.
straight to human resources.
I wish we
That
could
was
all be
the
as
goal.
brave as Greg.
Oh, yeah, hey.
I don't like this
God.
game that you play that just because X amount of teams made the playoffs last year, we have to replace some of those teams with other teams. That's not how my mind works.
I guess I'm just saying, I didn't know the expectations were high for the Rams. I mean, I do. I think.
Well, it's probably just
You're like-
because
you're
I've
like
heard
me.
you running around the office telling everybody the Rams are going to make the playoffs.
They're my playoff
I
team.
do like the
yes,
idea of Greg literally running around the office. Did you hear the Rams are going to make the playoffs?
Greg is like Mr. Smith goes to Washington, just filibustering. How about
Yes.
you explain why the Rams stink? How about?
Well, they might have the worst offensive line in the NFL. Who's good on that line? They've got like 3 rookies starting or 3
Tampa Bay Bucks
first-time
are like, what
starters.
about us?
They got
I'm a
some
big-
guy
I'm a
named
big-
Rob Havenstein.
Jamon Brown. I'm a big.
Jamon
fan.
Brown, yeah.
That's a made-up.
We don't. Todd Gurley's a mystery,
Yeah.
wrapped in a riddle, smothered in secret sauce right now. Nobody knows what he is. Nick Foles has looked awful in the preseason. He's looked like he did last year with the Eagles. I think he's totally a product of Chip Kelly's offense. So I'm not buying anything about this team.
I got
Jeff
a kick.
Fisher's like 7 and 9. We're good.
Yeah, we're good. I'll see you in California. I like that.
New contract extension for another 7 and 9 season.
I get a kick out of the people that are talking themselves back onto the Tavon Austin hype train. Like, what have we seen to think that's going to now happen?
Like me?
Why? Wait a second. This is stands
likes
in contrast
Austin.
to
He
what you
does.
were saying.
Well, you historically have like.
It's more just because Roto World refuses to acknowledge his existence, even though the coaches have said he's a starter and they're tailoring their offense around him.
Oh, it's a good old Roto
But
World
they have
grudge.
so they have no offensive line and a bad quarterback. But you think Tavon Austin will break out?
I do.
But they do have Chris Long, Aaron
Pretty
Donald,
good wide receiver.
Chris Long, Aaron Donald, and Robert Quinn on the same defensive line. A very
And Nick
underrated
Fairley.
secondary. They had 2 great safeties
They just
played
lost
last year.
arguably their best cornerback.
That's fair. EJ Gaines, their cornerbacks are bad. They have Alec Ogletree, who played pretty well last year. It is a good-looking defense. You got to admit.
I
Could be-
acknowledge that.
I'm more betting on the rest of the NFC West maybe comes to the pack a little. I don't think they're great, but you know.
Oh, they'll find a way to lose
9 or
games.
10
Don't you
wins.
worry, Greg.
Greg Rosenthal, now Nick Foles'
No.
#1 fan.
It's just like, now I'm self-conscious because Greg is going to pick the Seahawks or the Patriots or something. It must be someone just
No, it's
that
gotta be
just
just
blow
Greg.
you
It'll be
away.
Well, hey,
I mean-
no. I mean, if you guys are really getting out on a limb there, all 12 teams are going right back to the playoffs. But hey,
That's
watch
not
out.
what we're talking
that
about.
Rams team with that won 7-6-10 last year, they're going to disappoint. They're going to
Gotta
go
rise
5
out
and
of
11.
you.
The name of this segment is Teams Destined to Fall Short
I
of
said teams
Expectations.
that'll disappoint.
Or, I'm not mad, Todd, I'm disappointed. It doesn't mean teams that were in the playoffs last
No,
year
I
that
know.
won't make it
I
this
guess
year.
I didn't know the expectations were particularly high for the Rams.
I can't wait to
Well, I
watch.
knew they were high because I hear it from you all the time.
Here's a team that did not make the playoffs, but expectations are high. So, yes, it fulfills everything that we were looking
The
for. with this
expectations
segment.
are not high for your team either, but that's
The Miami
a team.
Dolphins just signed the most expensive free agent in the history of the NFL on defense. His name is Ndamukong Suh. They just signed a quarterback, Ryan Tannehill, to a $100 million extension. All the stat geeks, all the nerds think Tannehill is the bee's knees. They think this is the year. They think, oh, now we got Kenny Stills.
Did you hear he's better than Andrew Luck?
He's better than Andrew Luck,
He-
according to PFF.
DJ said he sees Tannehill differently now after watching him in the preseason than he has before. He
He's
thinks
looked really good in the
making
preseason.
strides.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Laser running
They
the
got
show.
rid of Mike Wallace. People love Bill Lazor.
That's
The
your
offensive
boy,
coordinator.
Mark.
That's Mark's boy. You put it all together, and what's not to like about the Dolphins? Tom Brady potentially missing 4 weeks. The Jets a circus. The Bills, we already talked about the Bills. Why not? But no, they're going to disappoint. And I'm going to tell you why. Sometimes it's as simple as this. Joe Philbin is their coach. Joe Philbin's a stiff. Joe Philbin's the type of guy that just disappears after a while, and you'll see him as an offensive assistant in a couple of years. I don't think he doesn't seem like a bad guy. Let me pull back the reins.
Seems
a little
like a
bit.
really good guy.
Seems like a nice guy, but I don't know why he still has a job. We've talked about that. And am I convinced that Ryan Tannehill is going to really become that guy that's going to carry this team to 10 or 11 wins? I still am not convinced. I like Lamar Miller, but I don't love him. There's not enough. And when's the last time a defensive player, even Mario Williams, who's a very good player still, it doesn't typically make an instant difference when you sign a player for that much money.
Miami has been the AFC's version of the St. Louis Rams, because it's basically a 7-win team year after year. And I agree with you 100%, although I just don't expect them to be that good. At the same time, I think their offense this year is going to make a jump. I really do believe they will. I think that Tannehill, I don't buy all this business that he's a top 10 quarterback and better than Luck from Pro Football Focus.
Well, that's insane.
Insane, utter
insane.
nonsense. It feels like a clickbait type scenario. But I do think that the Dolphins are poised to make a big jump on that side of the ball.
I'm with you on that. I agree with DJ, and I like what I've seen from Tannehill this preseason.
I'm conflicted about the Dolphins more than just about any team in the league. I don't have a strong feeling about them at all because of what Dan said about Joe Philbin. It's like I have a hard time imagining that Joe Philbin team doing really well. But on paper and everything that you're saying makes sense. I mean, I think the expectations should be high for the Dolphins because if they don't win 10 games, I think if the Bills go 8-8, that shouldn't be viewed as some big disappointment. If the Dolphins don't make the playoffs, should be viewed as a major
Bills went out
disappointment.
and were the biggest player in free agency. Brought in all these
That's
people.
fine, but I'm realistic
Their coach is
about
talking
it.
Super Bowls. To me, all their players spent all offseason talking about the Super Bowl.
Let me ask you a
That's
question.
self-generated, though.
Dan, let's say Pete Carroll were Miami's coach. Do you think that Philbin is costing them 2 or 3 games? I mean, it's a fair.
I think he's holding them back. Yeah, I don't think we've seen anything in 3 years that guy should still be the coach. This is what's going to happen. They're going to be like 6-5, like we were saying. I think the Pats will be 4-4 or something at the midway point, and people are going to get excited about the Dolphins. Oh, they're 1 game back or 1 game up. Then they'll lose 4 out of 5, and they'll end up like they always do, right around 8-8. Disappointment.
I'm looking
They've
forward
done
to
this
your guys'
before.
playoff pick because there's a lot of teams in the AFC. I mean, only 2, wild card spots and a lot of pretty good wild card contenders if you want to throw in the Chargers, the Ravens, the Bengals, the Bills, the Dolphins. Only 2 of those teams are going to make the playoffs. Titans,
Never know.
a lot of disappointment.
Why not the Texans?
My team that's going to
There's
disappoint.
Bill Lazor.
My team that's going to disappoint the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh man,
They can't do
Out
it.
on a limb.
way
they can't do it
to
too
salvage
straight.
the segment by picking.
Well, I'm
a
just
team that
saying.
everybody.
I thought it was going to be teams that were good, and
Everyone
that won't be
thinks
good.
that they're going to come down this year.
Really?
It's a popular
You have
opinion.
them out of the playoffs?
Yeah, I was not going to put it
I
in the
have them
playoffs.
out of the playoffs.
That's
I'm
good.
not
Then we
sure.
all agree
I
that
think this is a
Cowboys
good
are going to
pick.
be a disaster this year.
I don't know about a disaster.
Well, if they don't make the playoffs, it's a disaster based on all the talent that they've added on defense, out of the expectations there. They think this is their Super Bowl window is the next year or 2. So I think if they did not make the playoffs this year, that would be as disappointing as any season under Jerry Jones of the last 10 years. And as much as they love Jason Garrett, if they go 7-9 this year, it's like he's back on the hot seat and he's maybe gone next year because that's the type of setup that they've put themselves at right now. They think they have the best offensive line in the history of football.
I think it's a good pick by Gregg because I do see him as a playoff team because outside of the running back position and potentially your secondary with Skandrick out, what position group what got worse? I mean, I thought that Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones went out. You got Lale Collins, you got Gregory on defense. They made some risky, aggressive
Gregory looks
moves.
good
By the way,
so
you
I think
didn't
they've
just
improved
say
the team.
you didn't just say punter and long snapper. They took steps back. The running back is a mess, and they just
DeMarco
lost their
Murray
best
We don't
quarterback.
know.
covered up
It's
a
a
lot
mess.
of problems last year. Well, I think we've got a good inkling.
Those
now.
are 2 big flaws.
Now listen, that's fair, but I think also when you're a team with Tony Romo, there's a couple more years where Romo is a premier quarterback and frankly underrated. He's always looked at as a guy. He was a top 3 quarterback last season.
If he stays healthy,
If he
of
stays
course.
healthy, but really I can't count the Cowboys out with that kind of play under center.
I couldn't count them out either. This to me is more of a what goes up is natural to fall down type of thing, and the
And
expectations.
everything went right last year.
And this franchise has shown over the years that they don't handle success particularly well. They don't necessarily handle adversity particularly well. And it just wouldn't surprise me to see them have an up and down season with a lot of drama and a 9-7, 8.
Well, I think the
type of
Giants are going to be a better team. On offense, they're going to test teams. Philadelphia won 10 games last year, and that was the only double-digit win team to not make the playoffs. And the Skins stink, but in that division, anyone can beat anyone.
I just don't think you can expect the offense to be as good as it was in Dallas a year ago. It was one of the best offenses of the last decade. And a lot of times, offensive lines that you think are great, they don't really stay great for long. I mean, that Chiefs offensive line was good for a couple years, but it usually lasts 1 or 2 years, and that's it. And then things
Everybody
change.
in Dallas loved DeMarco Murray until the day he signed with the Eagles, and then they spent the offseason trashing him, saying he left meat on the bone, saying he missed too many holes, and he was Offensive Player of the Year, had more 15-yard runs than any running back.
That's like a Red Sox fan thing type of do. Mm-hmm. Second,
or an
Jacoby
Indianapolis
Ellsbury goes to the Yankees.
An Indianapolis Star
Area.
thing to do, put Reggie Wayne and Trader on the front page of the
Oh,
newspaper.
yeah,
Give me a
Taking
break
the
with that.
Indianapolis Star. to
Yeah,
task.
give me a break.
So the Bills.
Kravitz and Company, whatever you are.
Kravitz doesn't even work there.
All right, whatever.
So the Bills.
Deflategate generator.
So that'd be Ed Werder, really. So the Bills, Rams, Dolphins, and Cowboys, you banged. All right, everybody, here it comes. It's time. It is the game of both skill and valor, also known as
Win Wess's Toaster.
Wes, you are the champion. You have been for some time now, taking on all comers. And I said, first of all, those that are new to the game, you should know this is a trivia game, not just a skill and valor game. A trivia game, NFL history, all through the years. Wes is the maestro when it comes to this, or the maestro.
Maestro.
And we have listeners call in, and they show up on Skype, and we've had some people from in the office take Wes on. Greg even won once upon a time, but that's
The only loss Wes has ever had.
the old Buster
Was
Douglas.
Toaster.
So that is the game. We're going to go through 6 questions, and let's see, maybe Wes gets taken down. And Wes, at this point, he used to study up and talk about how he would read and make sure he could not be defeated. Now Wes doesn't even think about it anymore.
There's not much you can do to prepare. It's like, what you do all throughout the year. Once you get into the game, you'll be found out in the dark of the night if you didn't prepare all year.
Yeah, so get ready, listeners, for all the drama of a Harlem Globetrotters game.
Right. Well, this game is going to go into invisibility if we don't get some challengers here.
Yes, as I said, the 2 contestants that we have today, there's more pressure than in the past because the very game itself could be riding on their competitiveness. Sure. So let's get to our first contestant right now, TD.
Contestant number 1. Meet Justin Favorite, a 25-year Chicago Bears fan hailing all the way from Australia. Justin listens to the podcast on his work commute and admires Chris Wesseling's knowledge of the game, though not
Yes, sir.
intimidated by it. If Justin wins the toaster, he vows to, quote, make the best damn toast Australia's ever seen.
Wow, there he is.
We should say this toaster, which, emanated from the newsroom, it just happened to be there one day, and I claimed it. It can imprint your team on the toast.
It can, and it's a magical toaster. Justin, there he is from London via Brisbane, Australia.
Brisbane,
Dan.
How you doing?
Brisbane, yes.
What's up? Welcome.
How are you?
Welcome to the Around the NFL podcast. We love our overseas listeners. They are loyal. They are
Smart,
They are
funny.
funny. They are
Foreign.
and in this
Handsome?
case, handsome. Justin, are you nervous? Because like we said, Justin, or like I said, this game's going away for a while if you cannot deliver some heat right now.
Yeah, I do feel an added sense of urgency. The weight's on the shoulders, and the pressure's on.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Justin doesn't, and we are watching us on Skype. If you want to check us out, you can listen, obviously, but you can also watch this unfold. He does not look to me, Greg, like a tomato can.
No, he is good friends with an Australian podcast about NFL football that Chris has been on. So, I mean, he's definitely tied into the game. He's wearing his jersey. What jersey is that right now?
Chicago Bears, Gale Sayers. I got it for my birthday.
Gale
about 4
Sayers.
weeks
He's wearing an all-time great jersey.
He's a
Smart
dad
move.
who's in shape. You got your act together.
Hot dad. Actually, yeah, we didn't even have you on the show to do this. We just wanted to admire your bod. All right,
It's
Justin.
almost as good as Patras.
So are you aware of the rules, Justin?
Yes, Dan, I am.
All right, yes, 6 questions for each. The same 6 questions for both Wes and Justin. 60-second timer. Mark, you are the official timekeeper. Before the show started, for the record, 14th straight time, you asked me how much time goes on the clock and
Here's
how does
what I
it
don't
work.
like: all the people behind the glass now have a robot timekeeper. That's who I'm. I'm going
Well,
against those guys.
the robot timekeeper debuted last time we played this game, and it was a total S show. So that it showed why humans, and people get pumped up about robots in virtual reality, and the future.
Enough with the robots.
But mankind using an iPhone, that's the way to go.
There we go. We're in good hands.
All right, so Justin will go first. Wes, be gone. He's gonna disconnect. Our microphone situation has changed. No headsets.
Wes is leaving the room.
He's doing his best. There you go. He puts that down. This is not as smooth as it once was. There goes his IFB.
A lot of moving parts here.
Wes wearing his NFL Network polo.
He's tripping over the
Third
wires.
different one this week, trying to intimidate.
Wes trying to get out. Now it's becoming a panic situation.
It's
like an animal that steps in a bear trap.
This is a second Harrison Ford type exit right there.
All right.
Very smooth.
Get out of here, Wes. Come on, Justin. I need this, Justin. We need this. The show needs this.
Well, we could just bake the results and say he got 6 out of 6.
We could always do that. All right, so 6 questions. If you want to pass, you could pass, and we'll come back to it and tell us when to stop, because the tiebreaker is the time. If 2 guys get 4,
right,
whoever got in less time wins. So at the sound of the creepy synth timekeeper music, potentially stolen from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, we will begin. Who replaced Bill Parcells as Giants coach in 1991?
Pass.
This player theorized that the NFL had a hand in the power outage that halted Super Bowl 48 at the Superdome.
Pass.
This starting running back has lost just 1 fumble in his first 2 seasons. Current.
Pass.
Who kicked the onside kick to start the second half of Super Bowl 44 for the Saints?
Garrett Graham.
This lineman was the first overall pick in the 2008 draft.
Luke Jokel.
Ryan Fitzpatrick made his first NFL start for what team?
Buffalo Bills.
All right, stop the clock.
Oh, no, you got to go back.
He's out of time anyway.
Yep,
Okay.
time.
All right. I don't know if you want to know what just happened, Justin.
Let's keep a straight face for when Wes comes back.
Yeah, put on a brave face. That's all I'll
You're
say.
still a very good dad.
There's a chance that you could tie. All right, Wes back with us now. So we're not gonna. Nobody's showing any poker face here. It's just it's
You're
your
not
turn.
going to tell me how many he got right?
Actually, for the first time, I'm going to. Do you want to know how many he got right?
No, because you're not going to tell me.
I'd never tell you. All right, let's go. Wes. Who replaced Bill Parcells as the Giants coach in 1991?
Ray. Pass.
This player theorized that the NFL had a hand in the power outage that halted Super Bowl 47 at the Superdome.
Is that Terrell Suggs?
This starting running back has lost just one fumble in his first 2 NFL seasons.
Le'Veon Bell?
Who kicked the onside kick to start the second half of Super Bowl 44 for the Saints?
Pass.
This lineman was the first overall pick of the 2008 draft.
2008 draft. Pass.
Ryan Fitzpatrick made his first NFL start for what team?
St. Louis Rams.
Do you want to go back?
Yes.
Who replaced Bill Parcells as Giants coach
Ray
in 1991?
Summerlin? No, Ray.
This player theorized this starting running back. No, excuse me. Who kicked the onside kick to start the second half of Super Bowl 44 for the Saints?
Garrett Hartley? I don't know.
Official timekeeper. 3 out of 6. More than enough to beat a certified tomato can behind me.
Oh.
3-0.
Those were tough questions.
Those were
That
tough.
was tough. Ray Hanley.
Yeah.
I know you had
Hanley
Ray,
was the
and I
Giants
was like,
coach. He lasted 2 years. He was not a fan favorite in New York and replaced by, who was he replaced by, Wes? Got him back to the playoffs?
Jim Fossil?
Listen, I think Wes is a little rusty. If we can get a real competitor in here, we got a shot.
Yep.
It was Dan Reeves. Le'Veon Bell has fumbled twice in his first 2 years, lost only 1. Thomas Morstead is the punter that had the onside kick.
that's a
Man,
tough
those
one.
are some
Super
tough
Bowl.
I could have gotten that, but that was tough.
That, but you
That was tough.
are
I'm
more of a
Saints
Saints fan than some.
Yes.
Like that is.
I was like, that was really tough.
Jake Long was the first overall pick in the 2000.
I would have beaten
draft.
Wes for once on this one.
That's just like a random year, like 2008. Your mind doesn't naturally go. I mean, these were tough
Ryan
questions.
Fitzpatrick started his first game was for the Rams as a starter. Many after, I think he started for like 6 teams now.
I think it's fair to say our friend from Australia got some tougher questions than a lot of the previous contestants. Those were
I'm
tough.
not even going to call him a tomato can. The man clearly knows his football.
Yeah.
I will. He got 0. Let's.
Please. Justin, let's just say thank you for coming on. Maybe the questions didn't go your way this time, but we appreciate you listening and taking on Wes.
No worries, guys. Thanks for your time. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Justin.
It's 3 in the morning in Australia. He stayed up until the middle of the night. You know what? We got to get Wes up till 3 in the morning. Have him answer questions in the middle of the night.
I got no problem with that.
Justin, thank you for coming on. All right, so Justin was not the guy to take on Wes. Listen, every round is
Does
different.
this mean you're getting rid of the game?
No, we have one more guy.
Oh, okay.
It comes down to one more caller.
A lot of pressure.
I don't like this, but.
And we'll see what happens. Let's go to the second contestant.
Contestant number 2. Meet Ryan Broad Squad Broaders, a football agnostic since '99 and a Baltimore Ravens fan residing in Canada. Ryan listens to the show while taking bubble baths, and he fancies his chances of winning the toaster because he's an avid listener of the Move the Sticks podcast with Daniel Jeremiah.
How are we supposed to root for this guy now?
Taking shots at us right out of the gate.
All right, here's a little backstory with Ryan that we had to delay a little bit because Ryan was prepared to be. First of all, Ryan, where are you calling from, or where are you Skyping from?
I'm just about an hour southwest of Toronto.
Okay.
Waterloo.
All right, so Ryan was driving when we pulled him up on Skype, and he was hoping to do the segment while driving, like commuting to work or wherever he was going. So, which is obviously kind of some Evel Knievel, reckless stuff, but also maybe a sign of confidence.
The intro shows you're very confident, Ryan.
And I'll also say this, Ryan. Our first contestant, Tomato Can City, 0 out of 6. Wes took care of business, which means if you don't compete here, if you don't put up a fight, this entire episode, everything about Win Wes Toaster could be over.
Gregg's dream.
This is great.
Yeah, we wouldn't want that to happen.
Gregg has every reason to be rooting against Mr. Broad Squad. So, do you know the rules, Ryan?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so 6 questions at the start of the creepy drone music. We will get going. You could pass and come back. Tiebreaker is time.
Alrighty.
Who was involved in 3 fumbles in the 2009 NFC Championship game?
Next question.
Who followed Mike Ditka as coach of the Chicago Bears in 1993?
Next question.
This Vikings quarterback started for an injured Christian Ponder in the 2012 Wild Card playoffs.
Next question.
Who was the starting quarterback for the Chargers when the team went to the Super Bowl in 1994?
Next question.
Who was the Bucs head coach when the team posted its last winning season?
John Gruden.
This Packers wide receiver led the NFL with 14 touchdowns in 2012.
James Jones.
Do you want to go back?
Yes, first question.
Who was involved in 3 fumbles in the 2009 NFC Championship game?
10 seconds.
Next question.
Who followed Mike Ditka as coach of the Chicago Bears in 1993?
Time.
Oh, jeez.
Well, this is what happens when you listen to the Move the Sticks podcast.
Exactly.
That's all I take from this.
You
Yes.
listen to us more, and maybe you got something.
It did say it was a Dan fan that was part of his list.
Oh, I missed that. Well, now I'm upset because I would have been rooting harder for you. Listen, there's a chance you can. There is a chance you can win.
If Wes, were to have a seizure between now and sitting down in the chair, you're in good shape.
Major medical incident. Here we go. Bring Wes back in. Everybody be brave. And Wes has a chance to, again, sweep the competition. But who knows? You never know. Let's get right to the questions. Good luck, buddy boy.
All right.
Who was involved in 3 fumbles in the 2009 NFC Championship game?
Ray Rice.
Who followed Mike Ditka as coach of the Chicago Bears in 1993?
Pass.
This Vikings quarterback started for an injured Christian Ponder in the 2012 Wild Card playoffs.
Right.
Who was the starting quarterback for the Chargers when the team went to the Super Bowl in 1994?
Stan Humphries.
Who was the Bucs head coach when the team posted its last winning season?
Raheem Morris?
This Packers wide receiver led the NFL with 14 touchdowns in 2012.
James Jones.
Do you want to go back?
Yes.
Who followed Mike Ditka as coach of the Chicago Bears in 1993?
I don't know why I don't know this.
10 seconds.
I don't know.
All right, stop the clock. Official scorekeeper?
That would be 3 for Wes.
3 for Chris Wesseling, 1 for Broad Squad. Wes, you are the winner.
Nice.
In underwhelming fashion.
Wildly
2 wins.
underwhelming.
West backs into the playoffs. Well, no, listen, those were harder questions this time.
Ryan, you can safely get back onto the motorway. And, and thank you very much for listening and liking me. That gives you extra points. And perhaps in a better day, you would have gotten questions that would have clicked with you. You know.
Yeah, it just wasn't my day. That's okay.
And
I don't feel too bad. I only got 3-1, so.
Yes,
I'll take it.
And go Yankees. All right, so that's it.
Can we get the correct answers?
Yes, here are the correct answers. Adrian Peterson, he fumbled twice and was involved in a botched handoff exchange in the 2009 NFC Championship game. You said Ray Rice. Dave Wanstedt replaced Mike Ditka. Joe Webb was the quarterback that came from Christian Ponder. And I think he was 11 for 30 with 2 picks. He was terrible. Stan Humphries started
knows the stats.
For the 1994 Chargers. Raheem Morris, the Youngry Bucks. So they had Raheem there. A lot of people thought Jake Gruden. And James Jones, which you both got. That was the only one that Ryan got. And by the way, that's it. I love our listeners.
Whoa. Wow. No, I agree.
Any competitions going forward, at least for the time being, will come in-house. Because I can't, 1 for 12 is not a sustainable model. Wes got 6 out of 12, 50%.
Wes would have gotten a big fat 0 for 2 if I was going up against him today. You would have been gone.
Because you know the answers already.
No, I didn't know him until I heard
You're
him.
exactly right.
It's easy to say when there's no clock running. Oh.
It's got to be
Hey,
competitive.
it is easy to say when I'm undefeated against you.
6 for 12 for Wes, which means
They
Wes
were hard
is not
questions.
infallible.
They were.
Yes, he can be beaten. And next time we play this
Pretty
game,
random questions. Not exactly trivia, I'd say.
And next time we play this game, Wes, the excuses are getting bigger and they're carrying over different things, whether it's cornhole or this game.
Maybe we bring the boss back in.
Maybe the boss is back, but it's not going to be for a while. This game is going to go away for a while. We got to dream it up again. This is that's it for Friday's edition of the Around the NFL podcast. We'll be back next week with 3 shows, a lot to get to. Until then, this is Dan Hanzus signing off for Quiet Storm, the mailman, the boss, and TD behind the glass. We're almost there, baby. Week 1 coming up.